Hey everyone, welcome to 5 More Minutes, the show where two friends relive their childhoods, or in some cases, learn about everything they missed out on. I'm Kendra.
And I'm Scott. Boo.
Well, you didn't. Oh, okay. You should have said "boo, bitch."
Jeez, so angry.
Yeah. But if you're listening, this is a big milestone in our podcast discography. Do they call it that when it's podcast?
I don't think so.
Well, I do.
Right.
And that is because we have reached a what's a good word? A banger of an episode number.
Oh.
You see what I did there?
Can you guess the number?
But it's just 69, you know?
Look at that.
And if nice. you know. Nice.
I think everyone knows.
I think I'm just gonna title this nice. And then put psycho in parentheses or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Logistics.
Okay. I looked up Halloween jokes, and this one's weird, but it is the first one. It's in the upper left-hand corner. Why didn't the vampire attack Taylor Swift?
I don't know. Bad blood, probably.
Yeah, because she had bad blood. And I thought it was funny because I just mentioned Taylor Swift and the goat and the song.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the man fail as a stand-up comedian but later become a prolific axe murderer?
I don't know.
He was a total hack.
Wow.
Yeah, this is really weird. Why did people think the jack-o'-lantern had a crush on the girl who carved him?
The hell kind of joke is this? I don't know.
Because everyone could see he held a candle for her.
I don't know about that one.
Okay, one more. Okay. Why did the ghost take his new girlfriend to his hometown?
I don't know.
He wanted his boo to see his old haunts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Oh, wait. One more.
Oh.
What did Betty the horse go as on Halloween?
I don't know.
A nightmare.
Yeah. I get it.
That's funny. I just typed in funny dad Halloween jokes.
Quality.
Oh,
results.
wait. One more.
Okay.
What do you call a chicken that haunts your house?
I don't know.
A poultrygeist.
Of course. It was right there.
Wow.
Nice, Kendra, like that one.
Yeah, I did. Are you doing anything fun for the Halloween?
I don't think so. We'll probably have 2 or 3 trick-or-treaters, as is custom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. We didn't even decorate this year. We've been slacking.
How dare you?
And Kendra is very not festively dressed up. This is our Halloween episode. I would like to point out.
I could have dressed up as Super Coog. That would have been like my only thing.
Could have done it.
I forgot, okay? My brain doesn't function very well when I have to teach all day.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a long day. So this is the Halloween episode, though. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I want to find some time to come there, but I don't know when.
Yeah. Go on, figure it out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro. I guess I don't know if you heard yet. Hot Goss Corner. Did you hear Adidas dropped Kanye West?
Well, I heard something about how they were probably going to when I was looking up stuff last week, but I did not actually see that it was.
It is official.
Mm-hmm. Dang. Should have waited until this week to talk about Kanye.
I know. Well, maybe it'll be better now that there's already an episode out while it's happening.
True. Maybe it'll skyrocket. We'll get all them downloads.
Yeah, something. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the current Yeezy brand.
Yeah.
Because I still have a number of those.
Maybe it'll make them worth more.
Maybe. That would be pretty sick.
Adidas should come up with a better version that I will buy. I mean, I know there are some shoes that are similar, but
I think they are probably going to do some form of that because I read some articles today and they made it very specific, like, we're cutting ties because moral differences, yada yada. But they said very specifically, like Adidas owns the rights to existing designs, existing colorways, and like anything that's been put out through their brand already. So I don't know if they're gonna like you said, modify it, rename it, and keep going with them, or what the heck is gonna happen.
I really want some of those like Wave Runner ones,
and
also just like all of them.
Just all of them. I don't know. Some of them are a little weird.
Yeah, but weird. Just like the normal 350s or whatever. Like
yeah, those. 350s are pretty safe.
I don't like a lot of the colorways for the are those 700s? What are those?
The Wave Runners are 700s.
Yeah, but because some of the colorways are really intense and odd for those, but
yeah.
Also, like I do really like the IYKYKs or whatever, and those are I feel like kind of similar to 700s.
Kinda
like a little different, but like the overall aesthetic of the shoe, I feel like is similar.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, you can actually get some pretty cheap on Goat. I was looking at them the other day.
Yeah, those aren't.
Actually, most of the shoes are cheaper on Goat than they are on StockX.
Yeah, they still kind of end at the same place after markups, though.
It seems like there's more often they're like on sale or something, though.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
I've had good luck with Goat. Won some Black Friday stuff with them.
Oh yeah.
But I wonder what they're gonna do with like the name Yeezy, because they're probably not gonna keep using it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Unless they own the name, but
it's like half his name, so I don't see how they could. I don't know. It's going to be something for the courts to hash out, but I thought that was interesting. So
yeah, I guess he owns the brand, so I guess he wouldn't.
Yeah,
probably.
So not only did Adidas drop him, Balenciaga dropped him, I think last week. His agent dropped him, like his CAA agent. So he's crashed upon some rocky shores here.
For sure, man. That's like all the important things, I feel like.
Yeah. Slight update from last week's episode, I guess.
Yeah, and if you didn't listen to episode 68, the history of yay.
All
ye. We decided G, like in the Bible, or
well, I only hear people call him yay, but that's what you said. Like the Bible.
Oh, based on whatever I read, made it sound like
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my current stack of Yeezys. If people would like to buy them, let me know.
Maybe they'll become more. Also, if you wear a size 8 in men's and you want some blue Air Maxes,
blue Air Max
Day, they're Air Max Day Air Maxes too. So
they're the blueprint version.
Yeah, I wear those so much. I probably wear more than like any of my other shoes. Because like it's a neutral enough blue that it can go with a lot of stuff. And I don't have enough stuff to wear with those gold ones, the Air Jordan ones. I like rarely wear those because I have to be wearing something that like has like really no other colors in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll get another pair at some point, But
I'm just gonna have to be all in on Jordans from now on.
I need to get some non-sneakers.
Non-sneakers?
Yeah, like I need just like a pair of like boots or something that go with everything that look a little bit more fancy. Yeah. Although I considered getting these because they're brown.
Oh, the low twos.
Yeah. But and I still want some Air Moabs.
Moabs.
And I don't know.
There's just too many
Jordan
shoes.
3 lows are weird, but they kind of look comfy.
Those are weird.
I don't know.
Huh. Would you look at that? I wore my
also
threes.
These are like weird.
Yeah, I don't know about those.
And like, what the heck is this shoe? Anytime I see any version of this shoe, I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, I know. It looks like I can't remember who was I explaining it to. It looks like they like draped hot glue over it.
Yeah, I feel like that we were talked about that once before with like
probably.
the blue and white ones or whatever.
Yeah. So
did you see these East Side Golf? It's just like they're not actually shoes for golf though. They just look like golf.
Yeah, because they had like some 12s or something, some other number. Or
yeah,
11s?
But they removed those, I think. Oh no, wait, the 12s are still here. They just look weird.
Mm-hmm.
Did I send you the video of the guy cutting up a basketball and making a shoe?
I don't think so.
I think I sent it to you on Instagram. I don't know how often you check that.
Not very.
But it was one of those like shoe guys that I follow. And let me look and see if I sent it to you. And he like cut up, he did it with a football and a basketball. But he like cut them up and maybe I just didn't send it to you because I just looked through what I sent you. That's weird. I wonder how come I didn't.
Weird.
Unless I sent it to you from my Dice account, which I might have.
Dice.
Oh yeah, I did. Baby. I sent you it. It says you saw it on Wednesday. It's a football. I sent you the football.
Well, you say I see it. I just look at things that are in there, but I don't watch them.
But I only send you things that are like interesting.
But I don't usually look at anything with my sound on my phone.
You don't have to use the sound. You just have to watch the video. And he made a sneaker out of a football.
So he just made like an Air Force One, basically.
Yeah, and then he did the same thing with a basketball. It was really cool.
Yeah, look at that. Killer.
Anyways, it's really hot in this room.
Do you got anything that you wanted to talk about before we get into it?
It's my students.
Uh-oh. What's the hot student goss this week?
They like, I mean, they're pretty all right. Like, I don't mind them, but they will not shut up while I'm trying to give directions. And then they like won't do stuff. Like they don't know they have to do things. And then when they get a bad grade, they like complain about it. And I'm like, it was on the assignment sheet. It was in Teams. I gave you 3 verbal reminders. You didn't do 1/4 of the assignment. That's how come you got a D.
Yeah.
Because you got like, you would have had a B, but you didn't do 1/4 of the assignment. And then there's this other thing we did where they had to like annotate an article, prepare notes, participate in a discussion, and then they had to summarize the article, respond to a question about how the book connects to life or whatever, and then answer reflection questions. So like 3 paragraphs. And only 3 people did that part out of 32. So wow. I gave everyone else a 0. I was like, you can turn this in until the end of the week still. And they were like, why'd you, like, I heard them talking. And they were like, she gave me a 0, even though I did this and this and this. And I was like, but you didn't, like, I hear people. I was like, you did not do the main part of the assignment.
Yeah.
Like, it is incomplete. It's marked as incomplete in the grade book. It's going to be a 0 unless you do all of it. Because they keep not doing, like, the written part. And then we're going to get to the essay, and then they're not going to be able to write it. And then this one kid was, like, complaining the whole class about how teachers, like, don't know how to teach. And they went to clown schools instead of real schools and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know how much of this is directed at me. But he was also saying that, like, schoolwork shouldn't be graded. And I was like, I really wanted to be like, if you think teachers like grading assignments, they don't. But also, if the assignments aren't graded, no one does them. And if you don't do the assignments, then you can't do the projects because you don't understand how to do it because you didn't do the assignments.
Right.
So, like, I was really fired up yesterday.
Real fired up.
Yeah.
Got that teacher grade.
Yeah. And, like, he was probably mad because I gave him a 0 on his entry task because for all of the questions all week, he wrote, like, things that were not the answer to the question. Like, about stuff being stupid or how, like, commas are stupid because I make him do a comma rule every Thursday. And just, like, random words that weren't complete sentences. And all the entry tasks say, like, use complete sentences. I take points off if they don't do it because they weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And so I was just really annoyed. I was like, this is literally, like, a 0.
I would be like, if I was a teacher, I'd be so petty. Like, every time they would write something like that, I would just scan it in and send it to their parents. Like,
yeah, well, I was talking to Megan about it, and she was like, his parents are probably like Trump people who hate public schools. And I was like, you know what? That probably is accurate.
Yeah, but it would, I mean, I guess I would just shove it down their throats until I got in trouble.
Yeah, I just don't like to talk to parents, so I don't unless I absolutely have to.
That's, yeah.
It's part of why I miss teaching college.
No parents. Nice.
Anyways.
Anyway, after all that hot goss, And since it is our quote unquote Halloween episode, because this will be the day before Halloween.
Yeah, and I failed.
And I'm dressed up as the fourth Hokage from Naruto.
I'm dressed up as me.
Wow. Groundbreaking stuff. But you hadn't seen this movie yet either, had you?
No, and I've not seen any Psycho movie. Like I've used the shower scene because of the sound in my class, just because in our horror unit we talk about mood and tone. So when we go over that, we usually use sound in horror movies to talk about it. So I've seen like that clip, but I've never even seen like Bates Motel or like anything that has to do with like I always meant to watch that show and I never did. So like any of the like lore around that, I really like. I didn't even know that was part of this movie.
Yeah. So we decided to watch a movie neither of us had seen, which was the original Psycho. I have seen American Psycho with Christian Bale, but I had never watched this one. And it was very interesting. I think Kendra said at one point when we were watching it that old movies are weird.
I will say it's probably like the most attention I've paid to a movie we've watched for this podcast. So
that's good. That's high praise right there. Look at that.
Also because it had a little bit of like detective noir stuff going on, and I like detective stuff.
Yeah, that part was interesting. I guess before we get into that, I'll just do some rapid fire facts for those who don't know Psycho. But it was made in 1960. It is a psychological horror thriller, and obviously produced and directed by Alfred Hitchcock, like probably his most famous work. The screenplay, written by Joseph Stefano, was based on a 1959 novel by the same name, and it was by Robert Bloch, which I didn't know this was based on a book, to be honest. Yeah.
I've always wanted to watch The Birds too, because I also use a clip from that in the same class. Because have you seen that movie? There's like a scene where she's like sitting on like a bench or something, smoking a cigarette, and she's by like a school, and there's all these like children chanting. And I feel like anytime there's children chanting, it's just kind of instantly like creepy.
Yeah, that's not gonna be good.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden all these like crows start like flying, and they all land like around where she's sitting, and then she like runs into the school. So I don't have any other context for the movie other than that. I'm assuming that these birds are like following her around. But yeah. Anyways, because that's also by him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. I had that pulled up like on my thing, and then I realized that we didn't talk about that movie. And anyways, it made sense to me.
Yeah, it made sense. I mean, same guy.
Yeah.
The main stars of the film were Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh, Vera Miles, John Gavin, and Martin Balsam.
Snap. Them are some old-timey names.
Well, it makes sense. The plot generally centers on an encounter between on-the-run embezzler Marion Crane, who is played by Janet Leigh, and a shy motel proprietor, Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins. And its aftermath, in which a private investigator, Marion's lover, Sam, and her sister, Lila, investigate her disappearance. So she goes missing. Some more facts before we get into actual plot, I guess. Psycho was originally seen as a departure from Hitchcock's previous film, North by Northwest, as it was filmed on a lower budget in black and white.
Wait, there's sequels?
No,
there is.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like remakes. There's like blah blah blah.
No, but they have the same people in them.
Really?
Sorry, I know that I got off track, but I searched Anthony Perkins, and under movies it shows up. Unless that's just showing up. Maybe it's not. Maybe it doesn't have him in it, but it on Google that. I don't know. Let me look. Maybe he is only in the first one. Maybe it was just showing up because it was connected.
3 sequels were produced after he died. No, yeah, there's Psycho 2, Psycho 3.
Yeah, but do those all have the same actor in
them? Yes.
Oh, okay. Because he died in like 92, so.
Yeah, down in the lower sequels and remakes section. Found it. Interesting.
He's kind of handsome.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
I thought he was gay for a second because it said his spouse was named Barry, but then I clicked on it and it's like Berinthia.
Berinthia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go by Barry too, I guess.
Whoa. She died on one of the planes on 9/11.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she must have been old. Yeah, she was born in 1948. So she was younger than him by 16 years, but yeah, she died on one of the flights. American Airlines Flight 11.
Interesting. Did not know that.
That's wild. That's not something I was expecting to talk about today.
Look at all these tangents.
Yeah.
So many tangents.
Their children's names are Oz and Elvis. Oh boy.
Solid. Okay, here I was.
Sorry, I'm all over the place.
So Psycho, back to Psycho. The film was initially considered controversial and received mixed reviews, but audience interest and outstanding box office returns prompted a major critical reevaluation. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Supporting Actress for Leigh and Best Director for Hitchcock. So check him out. Wow, is that?
Well, their other kid is a singer, and his name is Elvis. He's an American folk rock musician. Also, he was pretty. I mean, I know his wife is younger than him, but he was pretty. His kids were still pretty young when he died.
Yeah,
like they were like less than 20.
Makes sense. Okay. Psycho.
Anthony Perkins just is like the name. I feel like just sounds really familiar, even though I had never seen this movie and I don't really know that I've seen anything else that he's been in.
That was also like a very generic name, though.
That's true. Maybe it's just because like I've looked into a lot of stuff. Maybe I've just like heard his name. I also listened to that podcast where they were talking about the dark side of Hollywood, and it's mentioning some of the other people like Judy Garland and stuff. So like maybe he was mentioned in some of those episodes, you know?
Probably.
I don't know. Huh.
Oh, indeed. Okay, we'll wrap this part up and we'll get into just talking about the overall plot and what you thought. But obviously, most people know Psycho now. It's now one of Alfred Hitchcock's most, I guess, most widely regarded films ever. It has been praised as a major work of cinematic art by international film critics and scholars due to its, quote, slick direction, tense atmosphere, impressive camera work, a memorable score, and iconic performances.
We should read the book.
That would be kind of interesting. I wonder how much of a read that would be.
It's only 185 pages.
It turns out that original book was based on Ed Gein, because the writer lived like 40 miles from him or something like that, and was really following the story. I read that somewhere along this.
It's also interesting because the movie came out just a year after the book.
Yeah, they really turned it around.
Yeah.
Loosely inspired by the case of convicted Wisconsin murderer and grave robber Ed Gein, both Gein, who lived only 40 miles from Block, and the story's protagonist Norman Bates were solitary murderers in isolated rural locations.
I see that with like the taxidermy part, but he wasn't making nipple belts, and so I feel like the movie was really missing that.
Yeah, I guess so. If that's something you really wanted to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Often ranked one of the greatest films of all time, it set a new level of acceptability for violence, deviant behavior, and sexuality in American films and is widely considered to be one of the earliest examples of the slasher film genre.
Snap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like what even were movies before this that just like when was the first like what are old movies? Because I feel like they're all like film noir things and like westerns.
Well, that was probably a lot of things at the time, but I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. That's 1946.
That's true. When was the first James Bond movie? Was that in the 60s?
Yeah, it had to have been.
Yeah. Dr. No.
Dr. No. Yeah, 1962. Look at that. So films were really starting to pick up in the 60s, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They're really going up from there.
After, probably because of the uptick in televisions after World War II.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Which also might be why we had more serial killers in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
According to more things I listened to on Parcast. Because these kids were raised by people who had been affected by the war.
Yeah, I mean, there'd definitely be some mental stuff.
It was correlating that to the uptick of serial killers in the 70s. Like late 60s and 70s.
Yeah. People be messed up, dude.
Yeah. Because their parents were messed up. Regardless of whether or not they had fought the war, but also because of the everything that happened in the world and the media and the television and conformity. And, you know, this is a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, dude. So unfortunately, Alfred Hitchcock died in 1980. But as you had already mentioned, that I did not know, Universal Pictures produced follow-ups, 3 sequels, a remake, a made-for-television spinoff, and a television series set in the 2010s, which was Bates Motel. Mm-hmm. Yep. In 1992, the Library of Congress deemed the film, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And they selected it for preservation in the United States National Film Registry. High praise. And you want to take a stab at the overall budget? What do you think?
I mean, this was in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Money is a lot different in the 60s. There's no CGI.
There is none of that.
30,000.
So it is a little more than I thought it would be too.
Well, you never know.
806,000.
Oh, I was really shooting the ballpark low because, but 800,000 seems like a lot for a movie in the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, what do I know?
Big stuff. Box office. Now you want to take a guess, and this is
how much did movies cost? 1 million.
50 million.
I don't know. Money is weird.
So I would say, well, think of the success of that.
Okay, wait.
800,000 into 50 million.
Okay. What was the budget? 806,000. That's so much money in today.
Mm-hmm. Today?
Yeah, it's times 10. It's like 8 million.
Woo! Which, I mean, think about movies today, though. Lots of budgets are 8 million.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was a big production back then, so it would only make sense. So that's some of the randoms. What did you think of the overall plot?
I mean, I knew just generally from being on the internet that there was something with the mom to where I didn't really know if it was a person or not, but like I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, it is kind of like I wasn't expecting her to die so fast. Like there was still so much of the movie left when that happened.
Yeah. She dies at like minute 40 and then you hit the thing and there's like an hour left.
Yeah. But I think it is kind of like it's weird to think about like what horror movies. I mean, that's more of like I feel like psychological thriller type of a thing. Mm-hmm. But I really do feel like it's kind of like based off of like more fiction, because that's like darkness in theme and subject matter it didn't really feature a disturbing mixture of sex and violence, but it did have violence and romantic relationships. So it is. I feel like it was kind of based off that. And there was like a private investigator and stuff,
and they kind of open. I mean, the first scene is them like having a tryst in a hotel.
Yeah,
she's got like lingerie on and
everything. I think the only time that I maybe wasn't paying attention was when she's deciding to leave. Like I couldn't figure out why she was why she left with the money. Like that part I was confused by.
So yeah, I can kind of run through it real quick, but basically, it opens up. They're having a romantic time in a hotel room, and her boyfriend Sam. They're talking about how they're like, oh, we can't get married because Sam is just in like so much debt for some reason. His ex-wife really took him to the cleaner, and he doesn't want to start off a marriage on the wrong foot in debt or something. So after this talk, Marion goes to work, and apparently she works at like some kind of real estate firm. And her boss comes in, and a wealthy guy had just bought a house, and he puts it all in cash, $40,000 in cash in 1960 to close on this house. And then all of a sudden, her boss is like, okay, well, yeah, we need to go take that money to the bank. Can you do it? And lo and behold, they were just talking about how they couldn't get married because he was in debt. And all of a sudden, there's this cold, hard cash on the desk in front of her. So she sees this as an opportunity. She's like, oh, this is cash. I'm just going to take it and leave. Like, this is not going to the bank. We'll start a new life, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I guess I was confused because she just like, oh, I guess he didn't live where she lived. And she was closer to where he was. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So she wanted to get away. Bit,
I honestly at first thought it was going to be the cop because the cop was being weird.
The cop was being weird. Yeah. She ends up pulling over on her like way out of town and sleeping because she was falling asleep. And then this cop really starts bogarting her. But to be fair, she was acting really suspicious. She's being weird as hell.
Yeah, I liked how they kept being. She was like, "Am I being weird?" And he was like, "Honestly, yeah."
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious too. He's like, "Can I see your license and registration or whatever?" She's like, "Why?" Like, well, I mean, you're just chilling out in the middle of the road. He's just, I guess, doing what cops are supposed to do. Check on you, check the car's not stolen, and you're not like trying to get somewhere crazy. But yeah, that was hilarious. Am I being weird? I just want to leave. It's like, yeah, you're being weird. Why do you want to leave so bad?
Yeah.
And then he follows her. She goes to trade in her car at like a used car dealership to, I guess, throw even more people off the trail. And he follows her there. And then he's just like sitting across the street the whole time. It's like, yeah, I'm watching you, blah, blah, blah. But I was surprised. I was honestly surprised that she didn't get stopped after she bought the car. Because like that is really suspicious behavior. She's exuded all the way to this point, and she's like dumping a car.
And he just like watched her drive away. I was like convinced that he was gonna show up at the motel and see her, whatever happened to her. You know what I mean? Like, because after she drives away, he's just not in it anymore, and that seemed kind of weird to me. Yeah,
because they make a big deal of him driving into the used car parking lot to like come confront the people, but then she just drives away.
Yeah, like, and she almost leaves without like her bag and stuff too. It just
yeah, leaves without the bag, and then she's out of there. And then she's staying on the back roads, which brings her to this random little motel, which is the Bates Motel. 12 cabins, 12 vacancies, if you will. And it has this super creepy house up on the hill right behind the motel where the proprietors live. Which, I mean, is this awkward but semi-charming guy, Norman Bates.
He's living that semi-charmed kind of life, if you know what I'm talking about.
It all comes around. She was listening to that song before we started the podcast.
Yeah, I just like blared it, was singing. Do, 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 do. Yeah.
So he shows up, allows her to check in, and he's like pretty awkward. You can tell he probably doesn't talk with a whole lot of people, and so he's excited to see a pretty young lady come to stay at the hotel. He has a little bit of company, someone else to talk to. He offers to make her. He's like, "Oh, we should have dinner," And he was like, "Oh, nothing fancy, just sandwiches and milk." And I was like, "This is what you're offering?"
Hey, what's wrong with a sandwich and a milk,
I mean, it seemed like it was almost like, and then when he brought it out, it didn't even look like a sandwich. It just like slabs of bread. Like he just brought out bread and milk, which I guess to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
But then we discover creepy and they're eating in his little back parlor to the office. And of course, Jeffrey Dahmer style, he's got all this taxidermy and everything else. That's apparently his hobby because men need a hobby,
Yeah.
according to
What's
her.
your hobby, bitch?
Shoes, bitch. I don't know, video games, cars, whatever.
Yeah.
I would argue I have too many hobbies. It's too expensive.
I have a lot of hobbies too.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's been buying my dice lately. Buy my dice, bitches.
Dude, no one, I've been on a cold streak for people. I don't know if people are just not buying stuff right now because the economy's cooling off, but people are not buying shoes. I finally sold a pair today, but it's been like the first in like 6 weeks. So buy shoes.
Yeah, and dice.
And dice. Buy them together.
Yeah.
We should offer a special package deal. Order shoes and dice come in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so she's at this creepy hotel, right? Motel.
Mm-hmm.
And
motel.
And you can tell at one point she's having second thoughts because she's like tallying up her expenditures from the $40,000 that she stole. Mm-hmm. She's like writing it down. She's like, crap, I bought this car, it's $700. I had to buy food and gas, and here I am. But then she allegedly changes her mind again because she rips it up and flushes it down the toilet. And she decides to take a shower. And so she's getting all like.
Also, he had a creepy little peephole.
Oh, yeah, that's right. As soon as she closed the door and went back to her room, he took off a picture frame and had a little sneaky peephole, creeper hole. So he was watching her, and then he could see her like starting to get ready to take a shower. And she does. And then, of course, the iconic shower scene. It is probably what Psycho is most known for. I mean, that is everything you read about this movie. It's like one of the most iconic pieces of cinema, not even this movie, but it was so dramatic and so different from everything that had been out already.
And it does that sound.
The
yeah. And there's an episode of Friends where it's a flashback because they do these flashback episodes all the time. And Monica used to be fat, and Ross and Chandler know each other from college, and they come home, and Chandler doesn't like Thanksgiving food because that's when he found out that his dad was sleeping with the pool boy. Whole thing. Anyways, so Monica is making him like food, or she's doing something in the kitchen with like a knife, and she accidentally like drops it or flings it, and when the knife is in the air, it's like it does a beep, 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 and then it cuts one of his toes off. And I never realized until last year when I showed the clip to my class that was from that sound, like what that sound clip was from. And but Memphis, whenever that sound is on, she goes into like high alert. Like she'll like wake up and just like look
kind confused. Of an alarming noise.
Yeah.
So they have a bunch of write-ups up on the shower scene. Film's pivotal scene, obviously. It's like 40 minutes in. Best known in all cinema. It spawned numerous myths and legends because it was so famous. In 1959, after Leigh had twice postponed the filming, which apparently was first because she had a cold, and then second was because of her period. I don't know why we need to know that. The finished scene runs over 3 minutes. It's a flurry of action and edits, and it has produced contradictory attempts to count its parts. So like the amount of times they had to cut and different camera work, because there's a lot.
Yeah, it's all kind of awkward and stuff too. Like when, like because of how they had to do it, especially with the guy, like the private investigator. His was overly dramatic, I think.
Yeah. It seems like the common consensus is that this was done in about 60 shots. which is a lot for 3 minutes of film, especially back then. But they were talking about how like the straight on shot of the shower head with the water coming down had to be like a long lens and had to do all this weird stuff to make it work. Um, the blood in the scene was Hershey's chocolate syrup.
I guess when there's no color, it can be whatever you want it to be.
It can be whatever
I
you want.
wonder if color changed, made it harder to do things like that.
Oh, it had to, because I mean, you think about the color of blood, and even in some movies today, it's like the wrong color.
Yeah, and I guess I mean, chocolate syrup has a good consistency for blood too, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it actually says it shows up better on black and white film and has more realistic density. So
yeah,
there you go.
The only thing, like one of the things that I dislike about watching black and white movies, which until this point had like only been westerns that I watched with my grandpa that I haven't watched really in a long time. Like I haven't, I don't know when the last time I watched a black and white movie was. But mostly just that the nighttime looks weird, and some of the times I was having a hard time figuring out like if it was supposed to be night or how much time had passed. Like especially when he's like cleaning up and stuff. Like I was having a hard time figuring out like what time of day it was supposed to be.
The only thing you could do to tell that we kind of figured out, because Cheyenne was watching it with me, was that when it was night, they would play crickets. And that was the only difference.
Yeah.
But it was hard to tell. Apparently the sound of knife entering flesh was created by plunging a knife into a cassava melon.
Okay.
I did also think, it was obviously a pivotal scene in crazy cinema, but watching it today, you're like, you can tell like the arm movements are like super slow, and then like it seemed like there were a couple points where the knife like allegedly touched her and stabbed her, but then just like nothing happened. Yeah. And at first I thought when I was first watching it that the person with the knife was just messing with her and like wasn't actually going to stab her, and I was like, oh, now she's just like super shocked because she like slid down the wall, but there's still like no blood. It showed a little bit of blood in the bottom of the bathtub, but then she was just dead. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I kind of thought that maybe she was going to be alive for a minute.
Yeah, me too. So it was a little weird. Apparently it took like it was a week-long shoot for the shower scene. So you think about Janet Leigh just constantly doing stuff in the shower over the span of a week, basically not having any clothes. They said she had some pasties and some like moleskin to like cover up, but other than that, it was just very strategic shots to keep all nudity out of the movie, it was kind of funny because you could tell it was almost like very well placed things or like shots where you're like, oh, everything's just barely out of the lens. So that was cool. It was apparently a legend that ice cold water was used in the shower scene to make her screams more real, but that was debunked. That's what she said. She's like, I was in there for like a week. You think they made me have cold water the whole time? That's crazy.
True.
Yeah. So yeah, crazy. We've stayed on that for a minute. Whew. Smack my microphone. But that's kind of like the big turning point of the movie, this alleged shadowy figure who is supposed to be Norman's mother has killed her. Norman shows up, cleans up the body, takes absolutely everything out of the room, including, I think he did not know about obviously the money that she had hidden in the newspaper, but he threw all that in her car and pushed the car into a convenient like swamp that's right next to his property, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then the car was just gone. Mm-hmm. So pretty convenient for him overall.
Yeah.
After that, it really kind of just turns into her sister looking for her with the help of her boyfriend, Sam. So, she approaches the old boyfriend, be like, I know you and her were seeing each other. Why did she not come to you with the money? And he's like, no, she's not here. And then there's a private investigator involved who is kind of a fun character.
He has a weird name.
Yeah, what the heck was it?
Something that started with an A.
Yeah, where the heck did it go? I just had it up. Arbogast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a weird name. So yeah, he sinks all the stuff in the swamp. The private investigator shows up at this correct hotel because he's like, I've just been, going off the beaten path.
I just touched this and it is so hot.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's like I can't even just like leave my hands on it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So the private investigator questions Norman, and which is a very awkward scene. Like Norman did not handle himself well. He got caught in like 75 lies. And ultimately, he said she wasn't there, but then he found her name on the registry.
And then he was like, this isn't a very good picture of her, is
it? Yeah. Oh, it was raining that night. Her hair was tamped down. I couldn't tell it was her. But then he was like, oh, as I'm thinking about it more, I'm remembering more and more. And the private investigator is like, yeah, okay.
And he's like making a point to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean. And then it's revealed that Norman says he has a invalid, sickly mother up in the house. And the private investigator wants to go talk to her. But he's like, no, you can't talk to her. She doesn't know anything. Even though he says that his mother had saw the lady. So his story's changing all over the place. Things are a little tense. The private detective sends word back to the sister and the boyfriend and say, hey, I'm going to check this out. One more thing. But she was here. And then he tries to go sneak into the main house to talk with the mother. And then as he gets to the top of the stairs, he is stabbed and is killed. And
he very dramatically falls backwards off the stairs.
I made a specific comment to Cheyenne because the way they shot it, it just looked like he was backing down the stairs because, he wasn't falling, he wasn't tumbling. And then when he got to the bottom, he just lay flat. So I was like, wow, he like deathly stumbled backwards down all of the stairs without falling. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. And then Norman again cleans up, conveniently puts the car in the swamp again. So this swamp is amazing. Just keeps sucking up cars. So the sister and the sister and the boyfriend don't hear anything back. So they go to investigate ultimately. And he distracts Norman and she sneaks into the house to go try to find this mother because that's all that keeps coming up is this crazy mother. And she goes in there and there is she finally gets to the upstairs bedroom and there is such a dramatic indent on the bed. Did you see that?
Yeah. It was kind of weird and slightly gross.
I know they were trying to impart something sat here and hasn't moved in a very long time, but it was so dramatic. It was dude, there's no bed would ever get like this.
Yeah, it was. It did not make sense.
And then she has to run and hide because Norman knocks out the boyfriend, figures out she's there, comes to check it out. She runs down in the basement and she finds the mother. And she's sitting in a chair facing away and she goes up to her and touches her on the shoulder. And lo and behold, it's just a corpse. It's like a mummified almost corpse at this point. Mm-hmm. So the mother was dead the whole time. Mm-hmm. So we were led to believe that the mother had killed both Marion and the detective, but in reality, it was Norman dressed in drag and killing them with his mind as his mother's. So some stuff going on there. You know what I mean? Norman comes down wearing women's clothes and tries to stab her, but the boyfriend saves her. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately they bring him back for psychoanalysis, which was, oh my God, it was so dramatic. Their psychiatrist, he was hamming up that scene. He was like, the thing is, he was his mother and he was not. He was the killer, but he was not.
But I feel like that's also really realistic for how any sort of mental health thing was.
No, but I just mean the way he was acting. Everything was so matter of fact and he was hamming it for camera. It was just funny because his eyes had that little squint. He's like, I know everything. Really good at this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, we find out what we kind of had already put together was that his mother had died previously. He had actually killed her and her old boyfriend, stolen back the body out of trauma and was keeping her alive in his mind. But he had given her a place to live in his mind in his split personality. So he was both himself and his mother doing all this crazy shit out there. So, yeah. And that's the story in a nutshell. What did you think overall?
I mean, it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. It was interesting. The sound and the music really stood out. And but the other thing I noticed was, of course, like you said, how like the most notable thing in the movie happens so early on, and then we're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on for the last 60% of the movie.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
Oh, the what it is most likely that Norman Bates has is dissociative identity disorder,
Right.
or multiple personality disorder, because he was abused emotionally and physically by his mother. Also, why is her name Norma and his name Norman? I don't like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's probably a pretty common way of people getting that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Abuse, trauma, weird stuff. Yeah, all the above.
Uh-huh.
And there's probably not a lot for us to stay on like the reviews. I mean, obviously critically acclaimed after they got kind of past the weirdness of it, after they did that reevaluation and people really were drawn to it. You know, they were interested in this, something that's different, something that's profound. So it lives on
I'm kind
forever.
of interested in what the sequels are, since they're so long after, like 23 and 26 years after, and it's the same guy.
Yeah, does he like break out of prison or whatever? Or not prison, but maybe he's in like an insane asylum that he gets out of back then. I don't know. Kind of interesting. IMDb did have a couple of, well, they have some fun facts here. Alfred Hitchcock was so pleased with the score written by Bernard Herrmann that he doubled the composer's salary to $34,501. And Hitchcock later said 33% of the effect of Psycho was due to the music. So he wanted to make sure that that was, I guess, appreciated.
That's
correctly.
why we're talking about mood and tone.
Nice. Kendra just ripped her microphone out of the stand.
It's fine. Yeah. Anyways. Also, Psycho 2 is set 22 years after the first film. It follows Norman Bates after he is released from the mental institution and returns to the house and Bates Motel to continue a normal life. However, his troubled past continues to haunt him as someone begins to murder people around him. It also says that the film is unrelated to the 1982 novel Psycho 2 by Robert Bloch.
Oh, so there was another book as well. The IMDb has one goof listed. It says when Lila approaches the mother in the fruit cellar, so kind of like right before the big reveal, Mrs. Bates is seated in a four-legged chair. And after Lila touches the corpse, did you notice how it like slowly spun around even though it had four legs? Apparently, the effect was achieved by a prop man laying on his back and rotating the chair manually. So, yeah, shouts out to that guy, whoever you are. Yeah, but that's Psycho. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. It was definitely interesting once you could get past like what struck me early on, and I'm sure it was just like an audio equipment thing for movies back then, was it was like kind of hard to tell what they were saying, like when they were in the hotel room early on and stuff. And you kind of had to really be paying attention to figure it out. But
also, I was just looking up American Psycho because I don't know anything about it. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
But that's also based on a book of the same name.
Nice. There's lots of psychos out there, you know.
All these things are based on books, like The Haunting of Hill House. That's a book.
Yeah. Good stuff. I guess I'll give you some more random facts.
Hell yeah,
before we wrap up. Apparently, Hitchcock did most of the promotion himself. He forbade Leigh and Perkins to make the usual television, radio, and print interviews because he did not want the plot revealed by accident, even. Critics were not given private screenings, but rather had to see the film with the general public. So no one saw it before it came out, which may have affected their reviews. The original trailer features a jovial Hitchcock taking the viewer on a tour of the set and almost giving away plot details before stopping himself. It is tracked with Herman's Psycho theme, but also jovial music. And so basically, the director himself did most of the actual promotion for the movie, which is interesting. Apparently, Psycho has been rated and re-rated several times over the years. Upon its initial release, the film received a certificate saying that it was approved under simple pass-fail system. Later, when they switched to voluntary letter ratings, Psycho was one of a number of high-profile motion pictures to be retro-rated with an M rating. Parental discretion advised, suggested for mature audiences. This remained the only rating the film would receive for 16 years, and according to the guidelines of the time, M was equivalent of a PG rating. In 1984, amidst the controversy surrounding levels of violence depicted in PG-rated films in the VCR era, the film was reclassified to its current rating of R. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff we could go over on this for a long time. I guess what it comes down to, when you got to give it a rating, what you gonna give it?
I don't know. Maybe like an 8 or something.
An 8? Okay. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. It's iconic and such.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag iconic.
Right. I think I'm pretty close to you. I'll probably go like a 7. I mean, I'm sure if you saw it in this time, it would be, like a 9 or something, but times do change a little bit and we wouldn't be where we were without it. But I mean, it's still, like you said, it's still an interesting watch even today. It holds your attention, and I thought it was good. So, yeah.
Hell yeah, bitch. That's nice.
That's nice. So that's all I got about the movie. I don't know if you got anything else to add or what else you want to dive into.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I just realized that it's Tuesday and I haven't posted any reels on Instagram yet. So
yeah, I was pretty bad about last week for the God of War episode, but I've already done one for this past one. So
it seems like I'll have like a really good week and then I like burn myself out. And then the next week I just like forget.
Yeah. Yep. It's hard to stay consistent,
Yeah, I've got 3 Instagram accounts. Still trying to figure out why I can't get my domain to forward to my Etsy shop. And every time I try to do like a chat on the website, like no one is ever available to help.
Oh, of course. How it goes.
Yeah, very annoying. But
But
Mm-hmm.
I did finish the Game of Thrones. You probably haven't watched any of that, have you?
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Not the most exciting, obviously, season finale ever, but I've really liked the series so far, but I hear the next one's not coming until 2024, so that's unfortunate.
Yikes. That's just like all those shows nowadays.
Yeah.
You gotta wait 2 years.
And I got caught up on, watched all of the Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings.
I watched the first episode of that.
You're pretty good at starting.
I also watched the first episode of The Midnight Club.
Oh, right. Never again. Yeah.
Listen, it's hard to focus these days.
It is.
You should print a really big one of these for me.
I have the snake. I need to but it's not the highest quality. I need to figure out how to get a cleaner. I don't know if it was the file or if there's a setting I can fix on my printer.
I want to get a regular 3D printer sometime.
Yeah.
The Elgu ones are always on sale.
They always on sale.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, you should buy my dice. You can find me on Etsy, etsy.com/shop.
Etsy.com/shop.
Broken Bow Dice Shop.
There we go.
Yeah. And hopefully my domain works again soon because I still have all these freaking business cards.
Look at all those.
But I got a lot of sets still from June when Instagram wasn't showing my stuff to people. So check it out, bitches. And if you've listened to every episode, please say this with us in 3, 2, 1. Nice. Oh, I thought you were gonna do it with me.
Well, I wasn't sure if you were gonna say bitch or nice.
I just assumed you would know, but I guess not. We're not as good of friends as I thought we were.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to leave.
What?
Because you didn't know.
You looked at your printer. I thought something had fallen.
No, it's not raised far enough for me to tell. I am trying to print the legs right now. I guess we won't say what it is, but I am trying to print the legs, and I am a little bit concerned that the legs are gonna fail because legs are really hard to, and it's like all one piece, and it's kind of angular, so I don't know if it's gonna print correctly. But the one where his face was just gone was funny. It like fell off the supports at like the last minute, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can get the Elgu Neptune 2S for $189.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, you should follow Uncle Jesse.
Oh,
I feel like on his TikToks he posts more normal 3D printing stuff, and then his YouTube videos are resin.
Yeah.
But anyways, follow my dice shop at Broken Bow Dice Shop, and follow us at 5MMPOD. Use the hashtag 5MMPOD. Let's see. I should actually be posting reels since Kanye just got dropped. That was our last episode, right?
Yep.
Send us an email to 5FIVE moreminutespod@gmail.com. Like and subscribe wherever you get your hot dang podcast, bitches. Turn on automatic downloads. Turn on notifications. Share us with your friends and family, your friends who are your family who's more like friends and family, and you can also share us directly to your Instagram story.
Look at that.
Yeah. And yeah. Nice.
Nice, bro. We're clocking out till next time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And happy Halloween.
Ooh.